Dragons, Chapter 2. The next Tuesday afternoon, another 100 or so runners, including Jake and Spencer, were back on the course. It was the third race of 6 scheduled runs before the championship, and Spencer was well in front. The previous year, when Jake had run for his school team, he had won every race easily. His coach had told him he should run in the City League races, said he had a good chance of winning. Right. Jake was angry. His chest was burning. His legs felt like lead. What was he doing wrong? He was eating right, drinking lots. He was running every morning at 6, almost twice the distance of the course, and it wasn't helping him at all. He watched Spencer's bright green shoes disappear over a ridge. Dig deep, Jake told himself. Dig deep. But it wasn't enough. The bridge, the hill, the finish. He crossed the line in second place. He saw Spencer off to the left, walking in slow circles with his hands on his hips. A strange feeling began to bubble up inside Jake's chest. "Good run," said the official at the line. Jake nodded. And then he blurted out, "That guy with the green shoes, he pushed me, almost knocked me right off the course, cost me a lot of time." Jake was almost as surprised by his words as the official was. "The first place guy? Pushing?" "Yeah." "That's a serious charge, son." He looked Jake straight in the eye. Jake met his gaze for a few seconds. Then he put his head down, hands on his knees, and tried to slow his breathing. He was winded. "I'll look into it then. Whereabouts on the course?" Not sure," said Jake. "About 3/4 of the way, maybe?" He looked up again. "Never mind. The race is done. It doesn't matter anymore." No. We take these things seriously. Stick around. I'll get back to you." Jake still felt strange as he went to get his gear. He might have pushed things a little far today. "Hey, Jake." Simon was sitting on the curb again, changing his shoes. "Simon." "How'd you do today?" Jake held up 2 fingers. "You?" 33, that's me." Simon beamed. Jake sat down beside Simon. He nodded absently. "I'm pretty sure I could come in first if I had fancy spikes like Spencer's. I wanted shoes like that, but my dad wouldn't buy them for me. He says they're too expensive and I'll just outgrow them." "Probably true," said Simon. "Your spikes don't look too bad. Just experienced." "Maybe, but it's not fair. Those new shoes give Spencer a big advantage." "They sure look cool," Simon agreed. He waited. "Maybe Spencer's just fast." "Jake." "And I'm not?" "I didn't say that. Second place is no disgrace." "I don't mind that he got new shoes." Simon smiled. "He gave me his old ones. I used to just wear my running shoes, but spikes make a big difference." Simon held up the underside of one shoe and laughed. "If you get my point." Jake didn't. "You asked him for his shoes?" "No, he offered them to me. They didn't fit him anymore, and they fit me pretty good, so..." "So you took them?" Jake couldn't believe what he was hearing. "Well, he wasn't going to use them anymore. I thought it was a nice thing to do." Jake shook his head. "Simon, can't you see what he's doing?" "Being a nice guy?" "No, man, he's putting you down. He's showing you you're not as good as him." "I'm not as good as him." "Well, I am," muttered Jake. "And next week, he'll know it." The official Jake had spoken to after the race came over. Jake sighed. He wished he hadn't said anything. He looked up. "I talked to the other runner, son. Says he didn't do any pushing." "Well, I figured he'd say that," said Jake. "Right. So I talked to my course monitors," said the official. "They say they didn't see anybody doing any pushing." He paused briefly before going on. "In fact, they say they never saw you and the other guy close enough for any pushing to be going on." He waited. Jake didn't know what to say. He didn't know what had come over him to make him say he'd been pushed, except that for a moment it had seemed a good way to push Spencer out of first place. I guess it's hard to see everything, replied Jake sheepishly. The official frowned and nodded. You can be sure we'll watch things closely. He walked away. Jake walked the other way toward his bike. He could feel Simon looking at him, but he didn't look back. As he knelt to unlock his bike, Jake heard footsteps on the gravel and glanced up. Dad? Hey, Jake. Good race? Was okay, I guess. I thought I told you and Mom you didn't have to come to these runs. You did. His dad smiled. His eyes were twinkling. Not a lot of people usually come out. Runners need to focus on the race without any distractions. His dad watched the steady stream of cars pulling out onto the road. Looks like a lot of people came out today. He smiled again. Want to ride? I have my bike. Right. I'll see you at home then. Jake finished unlocking his bike. It was true. He'd read more than once how a serious runner could not let anything break his concentration. Still, he felt a little sad as he heard his dad walk away.